Okay. So, if you guys can hear me, let's get started. Right? If you can hear me, can you just type yes in the Leetcode session? Just let me know. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Can you see my screen also? Today we're doing +1. So today we're doing an easy question because it is our first session. But I hope to make the questions harder and harder as we go along the way so we can learn more. All right? So, let's see. Okay, if you have any questions, you can just type it in the chat. I'll be looking at the chat from my phone. Okay? So today we are going to solve this question. For Leetcode question, if you are a beginner, what we want to do is to work out the question beforehand, then only we code it. Right? So this is a pretty easy question. Let's just read the question first. So I'm given a large integer represented as an integer array, digits. Okay? So for example, I will be given 1, 2, and 3. Okay? And the digits are ordered from most significant to least significant from left to right. Okay, meaning that 1, 2, 3 is actually just 123, something like that. Okay? And the large integer does not contain any leading zeros, right? So this is accepted in the criteria. Now, they want you to increment the large integer by 1, and they want you to return the resulting array. So it sounds very simple, what? If the number is 1, 2, 3, then I will just return 1, 2, 4, right? So given this, I will actually have to return 1, 2, and 4. So if you think about it, all you have to do is you have to just return the last element. Okay, I think I'm going to code with C++, right? So I'm just going to change to C++ here. Okay, so all you have to do is to get the length of the array, and I will just add 1 to the last element. Okay, quite simple, right? So let me just write the logic here. Add 1 to the last element of array. But we need to think of the edge cases. So edge cases are special cases that require us to to solve them differently, to add some different code to make it work. Right. So for edge cases, can anyone type out which edge cases there is here? So edge cases meaning that I cannot solve the question by just adding 1 to the last element. I have to do some extra steps. So can anyone tell me if there's any edge cases? You can give me like an example, an input that is an edge case. Right, if I'm going too fast, it's good. 9 is a good one. So if I'm going too fast or too slow, you can just let me know so we can pick up the speed a little or maybe slow it down a little, okay? So 9 is a very good, okay, and 129 also. Okay, let's just do 129. So if we follow this logic, right, we add 1 to the last element of the array, okay? If I add 1, then this becomes 1, 2, and 10. Okay, but actually what we want is 130, right? So it is not 130. So we need to do some special coding here to make it work. So what we can do is after adding 1 to the last element array, we will check if it is equal to 10, right? And if it is equal to 10, okay, then what we can do is we can change it to 0 and we can add 1 to the unit before. So for example, I will change 10 to 0 and I will change 2 to 3, okay, which is just add 1. Okay, does this make sense? So what we're doing is we are changing the current 1 into 0 and we will be adding 1 to the one before. Okay, so what we can do is we can make it into a loop, right? So example, if I have 199, okay, let's say. So what I'm going to do here is, first, I will add 1 to the last element. So I will get 1, 9, and 10, right? And then I check, okay, the last element is 10. What I'm going to do here is, I'm going to change the 10 into a 0, and I will add 1 to the one before. So it becomes 1, 10, 0. Okay? And we can continue this step. So since the current one is 10, I will again change this current one into 0. Okay, I will change the current one into 0, and I will add 1 to the one before. So I get 200, right? So now we get what we actually want by incrementing the one before. So it's kind of like when you're doing mathematics, you need to carry the 1. Okay. So there's one more edge case. Actually, there's one more, which is actually very similar to what somebody said, right? 9. Okay. Yes, you can solve this one along with me as well. Thank you, Marcus. So here, right, there's another edge case. So just now somebody mentioned 9, right? But let me just make it 99. Okay. Or maybe let's do 999. Okay, so for 999, I will follow this exact sequence, but the first one is 9. So I will end up with 10, 0, 0, right? So when we already reach the first character and it's a 10, what we can do is we can change this into a 1, and I will push a 0 at the back, right? Okay, so to conclude what we have just solved, our first step is to add 1 to the last element of the array. Okay, then the second step is to check if the current element is equal to 0. If it's not equal to 0, then we can straight away return the answer. But if the current element is equal to 0, then I will change the current element into 0. If the current element equals to 10, then I will change the current element into 0, and I will add 1 to the one beforehand, okay, to the one unit that is before the current element, that one index that is before the current element, right? So I will keep on doing this. I will check the current element. If it's equal to 10, I'll change it to 0, and I'll add 1 to the index before, and then I will keep doing this until if there is a 10 at the first element, okay, I will just change the first element into a 1, and I'll push a 0 at the back. Okay, so let me just write this in text. So if the first element is equal to 10, then I will change the first element to 1, and I will push a 0. Right. So until here, anyone has any problems, any questions? Or maybe I'm talking too slow or too fast? Can let me know. Right. Okay. Wow, there's a lot of people here today. Hi, everyone. Okay. So since we are already done with the logic, we can start coding. So again, I'm going to be using C++ today. Okay. Right. How do we make sure that the input array given is a single digit? Good question. So actually, it is given that the input are single digits, right? But in interviews, right, in coding interviews, we encourage you to ask these type of questions because it shows that you have the intellectual curiosity and that you really care about the edge cases and everything. Okay. But in Leetcode, they already did this, they already solved it for you. So good question. Definitely would recommend to ask in a real interview. Okay. So here in C++, a vector is the same as an array, but the only difference is that for an array, the array is a fixed size. However, a vector, you can push and pop to make it a different size. So that's why we use vector, because it is more flexible. Okay, yes? All right. Okay, so we are getting a vector of digits, and we need to return the solution, which is also a vector of integers. Okay, so same as what we have discussed, right? The first step is to add 1 to the last element. So I'm just going to do digits, add digits dot size. So the size, I have the minus 1 because it's 0 index. Okay, and I will add 1. Okay, and I will check if the last index is equal to 10. Okay, so I'll just copy this. So if the last index is equal to 10, then I can initiate the for loop, right, to keep checking the index before. So for, let's just do integer I. Okay, let's do idx. Okay, stands for index, equals to digits dot size minus 1. Okay, so I'm starting from the last element, and then I will end when I equals to 1. Okay. Yes? Any questions? Hello? Okay. So it seems like somebody forgot to mute their microphone. Right. You can type in the chat if you have any questions also. The moderator will notify me. Okay, so this is our for loop. We are going from the last element, okay, and we are slowly decrementing until we meet index number 1. Okay, we don't go at index number 0. You will see why. Right, so for here, okay, so since here we already did the checking, it's equal to 10. So what we do is we can make the current digit equals to 0, right? And the one before would add 1. So I will increment the element of the index before by 1. Okay, so I will just add equals to 1. Okay, with this is why I made it so that I is more than 0. Because if I equals to 0, then index I minus 1 is invalid. It will give you an error, right? Okay, then after this, I will continue to check, okay, if this one is equal to 10 as well. Okay, this index minus 1. Okay, if it's not equals to 10, then I can break out of the loop and return the answer, right? So if digits at index minus 1, okay, so if digits at index minus 1 is not equals to 10, meaning that I don't have to continue this loop of carrying forward the overflow, okay, so I can just break from the loop. Okay, so we have already done step 1 and step 2 here. Right, let's move on to step 3. Okay, so if the first element is equal to 10, then I can change the first element into 1 and I'll push 0 at the back. Okay, so after this whole if statement and the nested and the for loop inside the if statement, what I can do is I can do if digits at 0 is equal to 10, okay, meaning if the first element is equal to 10, then I will change the first element, right? I will change the first element into 1, and I will push a 0 at the back. So digits dot push back. So this is the C++ syntax for pushing an element. Okay, so I'll just push a 0 at the back, and at the end of it, I will just return digits. All right. Anyone have any questions about this solution? Are there any parts that I wasn't being clear? You need any clarification? Okay, it seems like there's no problem. No questions. Okay, someone's typing. Okay, let's wait for them. In the meantime, let's run our code. Let me see if I have any semicolons missing. Nope. Okay. Right, let's see. Oh, I use I here. Should be index. Okay, Isaac has a question here. So if 10 is in the middle, right? So in this question, they want you to increment the large integer by 1, right? So meaning that you are always incrementing from the last one. So assuming that the digits they gave you are valid digits, okay, so there are no double digits in the middle, and you will increment the last one, okay, you increment the last index by 1, so that there's only one chance that one place has a 10, which is the last index. If you increment the last index by 1, the value of the last index by 1, you won't have a 10 in the middle, right? Because you're only incrementing the last one. Yeah. And if the last one is a 10, then I will carry forward into the second last. And if the second last is 10, I will carry forward to the third last. Okay, that's why we have this loop to keep carry forward the values. So like this example here, 199, I can put one more 9 here. Okay, so 1999. So if I add 1, I get 19910, right? So since this is 10, I will carry forward. So I'll just type. So this is 10, I will carry it forward, and it becomes 1, 9, 10, 0, right? Because when carry forwarding, I will make the current one into 0, and the one with the index that is before it to add 1. And then I'll do the same thing. So the current one would be 0. Okay, and the one before would be 10. Okay, and I will keep carry forwarding until there's no overflow. So here I will get 2000. Okay, and if the first one is a 9, when I keep carry forwarding, I will get a 10 in front actually. So I will get a 10 in front. Okay, and what I can do is I can change the first element into 1, and I'll push a 0 at the back. Okay, I hope this answers your question. Right? Okay, so let me run this code. Okay, it works. So this is one of the ways of solving this. Can anybody think of another way to solve this question? Maybe not using C++, maybe using a higher level language. Okay, this is the hint. You can solve this in another way using a higher level programming language. Anyone has any ideas? Right, convert the string. So of course I can't do it in C++. So let me just do this in JavaScript, right? So by the way, I apologize for the C++ solution. I got a bit, my tongue got a bit tangled when explaining the indexes. I hope you understand. Yeah, good. Okay, somebody said to convert it to a string. So what we can do, okay, another way of doing it using a high level programming language is we can first, so let's say I have 1, 2, and 3 again, okay? So first I will convert it into a string. So it becomes 1, 2, 3, right? String of 1, 2, 3. And then what I can do is I can make it into an integer. So it becomes an integer. And then when it's an integer, I can just add 1. So I get 1, 2, 4 now. And then I will convert it back to a string. Okay. Then upon converting it back to a string, I can split it into an array. So I get 1, 2, and 4. Right? So first here, I'm just gonna make it into a string. Okay, so the JavaScript function here is to use join. Okay, so this parameter is actually join using what separator in the middle. So if there's nothing, then I'm going to join using nothing. If the separator is let's say if my separator is this comma, then my string will look something like this. Okay, but since I just wanted to join together without anything in the middle, my separator would be an empty string. Okay, and then okay, let's make this more specific, num string. And then let num int, okay, to be parse int. So this is again the JavaScript syntax. Okay, so I'm just gonna parse in num string, right? And then I need to add one ma. So num in plus 1 would just be num in plus 1. Okay, I'm just writing it out so it's clear, but actually you can just, put everything together so you don't have to create so many variables, right? Okay, so after I plus 1 already, I will get it, it'll become a string, right? So let num in, okay, let's just do num string plus 1. Okay, so I will change it into a string. So it becomes this dot toString, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and then after that, I can make it into an array again. So I will just take this string array, getting very long, the variable names, goes to num string plus 1 dot split, okay, like this. Right, I just realized something. So after this, I should have just converted them into integer, right? Because after splitting, it would be string. Okay, but I remembered last time when I did it, I don't have to do it. So maybe there's some sort of issue in Leetcode or something. But that's pretty much it. So what you can do is you can just run a loop and convert all of them into an integer, or you can do it using map. So if you attended the Firebase workshop, you will be familiar with the map function, right? So I will map everything inside and I will change it into an integer. Okay, so let's see. So I need to dot map, and let's just do value. Okay, and inside this value, I will return, so this value, I must make it into an integer. So parse int of that value. Let me check if there's any questions first. No, okay. All right. So this is basically the solution. And at the end, I can just return this. Okay, because map, if you're using the map function, it creates an additional array. Okay, it does not change the original value. Right. So let's just try to run this. Let's see, what's the issue? I think my syntax is wrong for the map function.
You don't need the return.
Oh, I don't need the return, is it? Oh, I have to use the return when there's the brackets, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Digits is the variable name. Okay, so I got the correct answer here. Okay, well, you see here so many variables. It looks a bit, a bit wasteful of your space. So what you can do is you can just put some of them together, right? So this is num string, and I can straight away get num in plus 1. But of course, don't make it too compact because later it will be unreadable. But you can try to, make it more neater, I guess. Okay, and then plus 1 array. Okay, I can make it toString and split it at the same time. Okay, so I think I'm happy with this solution. I don't want to make it too unreadable. Of course, you can just make everything in one line, right? So let me just submit this. That's the wrong answer. Let me see. So the last three is not doing its job.
立信
Yes?
那个 pass-in function 的，它不 work for large numbers 。
Parsing doesn't work for large number.
Because it's more than 32-bit, I guess. Something high-level language.
Right. Then actually, this C++ solution should be the standard solution. And this JavaScript one, it's just like, my special side project. But I remembered, all these times, right? I ran it when it was accepted. No, the JavaScript ones I ran before last time. I did not use this. What I did was I just returned this, and I remembered it worked. Okay, it doesn't work also. Maybe they updated the test cases because this was very long ago. All right, then this is just something that you can use if it's a smaller number. If it's a large number, then you cannot use it. But the main solution would be this one. If you go on to interviews, right, they would expect you to give this solution instead of like the other one because it's kind of like cheating. All right. Any questions for this one? This is quite simple, so I don't expect a lot of questions here. Since this is our first session, so we start off simple. It really depends on the company that you're interviewing from. Okay. Some of them, if you attend their phone interviews with actual software engineers, they wouldn't allow you to run it. You would usually just type the code and they will like see it, right? Maybe in a Google Docs or something. But if it's an online assessment, then you would usually be able to run it. But they won't give you the full test cases. Usually they'll give you like some test cases or even none, and you have to like figure them out yourself. Can send solution. Can let me see how I can do this. Maybe I can. Let me just run this first to make the submission green. Okay. Okay, I'll figure out a way to send this. This shouldn't be an issue. What you can do is you can go to the discussion. There are tons of solutions here, okay, with different languages. Yeah, you can refer to them also. Yeah, so it's already 9:30. The first question is already done, and we can welcome Marcus for the second question.
Okay.
Okay, let me stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, I need to share my screen.
All right, hope everybody understood what I said.
Okay, so just want to know also lah, how many people here actually doesn't understand C++, or you actually don't know the language C++? Like, or maybe you all can like maybe type like maybe you can like type your main languages lah, the language that you use and you know in the chat, so that I actually know. Java, okay. Only know Python. Okay. Learn too much languages. Okay, wait. Let's just do something. Okay. One moment. Okay. Where's the emoji thing? Okay. So if you know Java, then you rate the person with the goggles. If you know C++, you vote the person with the single goggles. Then if you know Python only, let me find snake. Where's the snake? Then you vote the snake. Okay, let's see Java wins or Python wins or C++ wins. Oh wait, there's still JavaScript, right? Okay, wait. Let me find JavaScript. Maybe just put JavaScript as food lah. Okay, if you like, if JavaScript is your main language, like put the burger lah. Let's see who wins. Okay, looks like Java is the winner. I think 11577. I think this is final. Is it final? Yeah, it's final. Okay. So I'll be writing my solution. Okay, I mainly use C++ also, but I would say that the solution, it's actually pretty similar. Whatever languages that you use, as long as you do it, because there's a way to do it. It's like math, like you're doing math in English or math in Chinese really doesn't matter. What matter is your solution and your algorithm lah. So let's just go through this question first without talking about the language. So later I think I'll show the code for both Java and Python and JavaScript. JavaScript will be like cheating also for this question. Even Python also can be like cheating. But then let's talk like this, like the most naive solution first. So basically, what does these questions ask you to do? We can actually sometimes just skip all those, like if you read the description, you get confused, or don't care about the description. Just go and read the input and output, because in the end, Leetcode just give you a bunch of input and you have to give the correct output. So basically, just looking at these two input and output. So the input, I know that I'll get like a sorted array, which is like, it must be sorted. I think that they say lah, nums is sorted in non-decreasing order, which is, I don't know why they want to say non-decreasing lah. They can just say increasing order, but never mind. So we know that the input array is sorted, and then it is non-decreasing, but that means it's increasing lah. So it must be from 0 to 1, 2, 3, or from negative to positive. Okay. Then we know the output. What they want us to output is the number and the array. Okay, so they want us to remove duplicates. So from 0 to 4, because like 0 is duplicated, 1 is duplicated, 2 is duplicated. So basically what we have to do is just to remove duplicate. So it's actually pretty it's a very simple problem. If we are doing it by hand, we can actually do it like this, right? Like imagine if you have a paper. Okay, let me just give credits to my roommate first. First, I want to thank Danny for lending me his iPad so that I can draw. One moment. Let me just share the iPad screen so that I can. I have to erase all of this first.
You're welcome.
Okay. Erase all of this first. Okay, so basically, like it's actually it's very simple question. It's a very simple problem. So you have like all these array, right? Like 0, 0, 1, 1, 2. So naturally, what you would do normally what you do is that, like, if you're doing it on paper, you just cross out the number, then you get so then you get like the one that is without duplicates, which is something like this, right? So normally we would do it like this on paper. It's very easy for the human brain to think like this, but the problem with like coding is that sometimes you can't think like a human. You have to like go backwards a bit. You have to think like a machine. So like, how does actually the machines see this array? Machines, like our code, right? Our computer doesn't understand like, oh, this is duplicate, so I just cancel out. They don't understand this. So we have to do it we have to develop like a algorithm, a way for them to recognize, okay, so this is it. So there's few solutions here lah. So but the one solution that I'm using, and I think which is very simple and it very corresponds to how normally we code, is that it's using a loop. Okay, so we can use a loop. So just loop through every array. So I'll go from the first element, then I go to the second element, then I go to third, fourth, and 5. Okay, so I'll just go through each element, and then I will just see, okay, which element is duplicated. So when I was at first element, so I can create a I can store it like in a variable. So I know that, okay, wait. Okay. So I know that like the first variable is 0, 1. So I can just store it in the temporary storage. So I store 0 here. And at the next iteration, I saw 0 again. So I know this is duplicated. Then, okay, I know this is duplicated. Then, and then when I meet a new number, right? So when I go to the third, I meet a new number 1. So I'll see 1. Then I can store it in a temporary place. So I know 1. So when I go to the next time again, then I meet it again, so I know, okay, so this part is duplicated. So then I can like mark this, then I can like mark this out. Okay, and then I know that they are duplicated. Then afterwards, I can just remove them. So this is one way to do it, but you'll find that it's not very optimal. So because why? You have to do it. You have to You have to do things twice. Why is because you have to go through the first time you go through, you have to mark the position. So you go through, then you mark the position. Okay, so position 1, and then this is position 3. Okay, like because array is like 0, like it start from 0 lah, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you mark the location, so you know like 1 and 3. Then you have to go through the array the second time to remove the element at that position. So basically you have to go to twice, which is not very optimal. So there's one very popular method in a lot of the algorithms question now that today I'm going to introduce to you, called two-pointer method. So basically it's something like, instead of having one pointer, so like just now when we're looping, we have one pointer, okay, pointing at the first element, so I know what it is. Then I go to the next iteration, then I have like another pointer, then another iteration, another pointer. But basically another solution is where we can have two pointers. So I can have one pointer, I use like blue color lah, right? Okay, I use blue color. And then I can also I can have two pointers moving at the same time, which is another pointer. I can use the orange color. So I know that like 0 and 0, they are the same element, right? So I mean that they have the same value. So because they have the same value, so I just don't I know that they have the same value, so that I have to replace it, right? So I have to replace this second 0. So later on I'll have to replace this second 0 with 1. Okay, because remember there's one properties where the array is sorted. So we know if this is 0, the next thing will be the next number. Like if this is 0, the next one will not be -1. It must be 1 or bigger than 1. So I know I have to replace this 0 with the next value, which is to replace it with 1 now, which is the next value. So what I can do is, if like so I can just how to say, I can just move on the second point. So like say this is the orange, let me just label them. Say this is P1, okay, then this is P2, okay. So so I can just let me just draw it again. So I can just 0, 0, okay, 0, 0, 1, 2, okay. So I can just move on. Let's just then it's okay. So let's just move on. I can move like, so I can move on to the next, like the next element in the array, where I'll point this as the second pointer. So I can set this as a second pointer. Then the first pointer, I will not move it first. Okay, we have to think of the criteria. So I'll talk about the criteria first. So I'll just move the second pointer. So now I meet a different element, right? So just now both the pointer are pointing at the same element, but now both the pointers is pointing at different elements. So we can have different like scenarios. So let's say this scenario is say this is the same element scenario. I'll just write LE ELM lah, okay. Then this is the different this is the different, my handwriting is a bit Once you just understand what I mean. So this is a different element scenario, right? So I have to let my program handle differently at different scenario. So when they meet the same element, what I'll do is I'll just ignore. Okay, I'll just let the second pointer continue. So I can just say ignore. So I'll just okay. I can just ignore. Okay, because I just I just keep on incrementing the second point. But when I have a different element, right, I know the reason why we ignore there is because even if we know they are the same element, I cannot replace it yet. What should I replace it with? I do not know what is the next element. Even if I made it already. So I just ignore it. I just keep on going until I meet a different element. And I remember, okay, I know my first pointer is still pointing at so my first pointer is 0, and my second pointer is 1. So I have to replace this number, right? I'll have to definitely replace this number. So what I can do here is, instead of ignoring, I can do two things. So I can do what the first thing is, I have to move. So hard to write with a pen. And just move. I have to move pointer 1. I have to move pointer 1. And then the second thing is I can replace. I have to replace. P1 P1 with, just write like this, with P with P2. I have to replace P1 with P2. So what will happen, essentially it will be something like this. So I move my P1 to the next element. So it will be pointing at the element. Then I replace the 0 with 1. So, and then this will be cancelled out and this will become 1. So basically my solution is this. So later on in the later iteration, this thing will repeat. This thing will repeat. It keep on repeating where it became like so it will be 0, 1, and then it'll be 1, and then it'll be 1, and then it'll be 2, right? So then it will be, it's a bit messy lah, but it will be 2. So but then this thing will still continue. My because my second pointer is already here, so I don't write them lah. But my second pointer, my first pointer is already here, and then my second pointer, what I know that it will do is that currently it's pointing. Currently my second pointer is still pointing here, right? But then because they are the same element, so I ignore. I keep ignore until I meet the next element, which is 2. Then because it's 2, I'll move on my blue pointer. I'll move on my blue pointer to the next element, which is here. So I just let me erase it. Okay, so I'll move on to here. Then I'll replace it with 2. So I'll replace it with 2. Then I'll move on. Okay, is 1 big equals 2? It's not. So I will just replace it with 2 or again. Then in the end, I'll end up with 0, 1, 2. I'll end up with like 0, 1, 2, 2, 2 lah. There's 3, 2. So essentially although you say that okay, there's still duplicates, right? There's still duplicates like 0, 1, 2, 2, 2. There's still 2, 2 at the back. But if you look back to the question, let me just pull the question over. So if you pull this down, if you look back at the question, it actually says they want you to output this number. Okay, if you look at how they check your answer, right? They already say they will just like check until the k number. So when I have this array, in the end I remove duplicates. I have 0, 1, 2, 2, 2. I can do something where I just return the k equals, it's not so nice lah, my thing. Okay, but wait, it's really now. Okay, looks a bit more like k. So I can just return k equals to 3. So what it will do, the program will just the Leetcode, they will just check 0, 1, and 2, then they don't see duplicate at all because they'll only like go through 3 times. So basically this is what we'll maybe it looks a bit complicated when I like was drawing it all out, but when I get to code, it's actually very simple. The code is even shorter than the previous question. It's just that the problem with like doing algorithms problem, the most important part is not whether you know how to code. The most important part is whether you know how to solve the problem. So let's just try. Let's just try to get into code. Maybe when I write out the code, it's more understandable. So first of all, we have to handle the edge cases lah. Because if like let's just write this first. Okay, so they give us like a array of integer, but then if like the array is empty, then I should just return 0 lah, because there's nothing in it, so I shouldn't do anything. Then we can get on to our solution. So like I say, we have 2 pointers. So I'll just create the first pointer. So the pointer should point at 1. Then I have a for loop. I'll just say this is the second pointer. So it must be lesser than the sum pointer 2 plus plus. Okay, so I can just do plus plus. So what it will do is it will do this, like it will point at the, so the pointer 1 will point at the first location, the pointer 2 will point at the second location, because this is the 0 position, this is the first position. Okay, I noticed there's some chats on chats for more. Oh yeah, not much. Okay, never mind. Okay, so let's just continue. So basically the pointer will be the first pointer will be at 0 position. The second pointer will start at like the first position. So what I'll have to do is I have to handle these 2 scenarios where if there is the same element, I just ignore, right? But if there's a different element, I'll do 2 things. I'll move pointer 1 to the next position, then I'll just replace pointer 1 with pointer 2. So that's what I would do. So I'll just write out the 2 scenario. So if numbers at pointer 1 is equals to numbers at pointer 2, if there's equal, I'll just ignore, right? So because I'm ignore, I just continue lah. I don't care. And else, so if it's not equal, then I'll do 2 things. Okay, if it's not equal, first thing that I'll do, I'll increment the pointer 1 plus plus. Then the second thing is I'll replace. So why do I need to do plus plus is because I'm at this position. I cannot replace 0 with 1 at this position, because if I do that, then it will become 1 1 1, which is not like, it's not sorted lah. It will break the sequence. So I have to increment the pointer so that it goes to the second position. So so that I can replace it, so that the whole thing will stay in order lah. Become like 0 1 2 2. So the first thing is I increment the pointer. So the second thing is I'll place the element at pointer 1 be the element at pointer 2. So basically this is what we'll do. And then lastly, so basically this is how we like mutate the array. And then lastly, you'll see that it actually expects us to integer, which is in this case lah, it expects us to return the k, which is how many elements are there in the array. So we know that it's 3. We know that like in the end, like we have like 0 1 2 2, but then we only want like the first 3 elements. So we just get k. But how do we know? How do we know that it is like? How do we know it's 3? If you look at the solution here, you will notice that the pointer it will end at the first pointer lah. The first pointer will end at this place. Okay, wait. Just show. How do I erase? I just use here. I'll just try it out first. Okay. I'll have to return pointer 1 plus 1. Okay. Why is that? Okay, because like, how to say this okay, so because like pointer 1 will always point at the last element, because like when you change them, like when you replace the pointer 1 with the pointer 1 with the pointer 2 value, the pointer 1 will always points at the last element. So you know that the last element is actually the size lah, because like the last element is the size. So like I'm changing 3 elements. My pointer 1 goes through at 3 elements. It goes through 0, it goes through 1, it goes through 2. So it's actually going through like 3 elements. But then in the end, I have to plus 1 is because remember that the how to say the arrays are 0 index. So that's why I have to plus 1. So this will become the size. So basically, this is the solution. I'm not sure is this understandable or not, but I'll try to explain more, like not using the drawing. Let's just go through this test case with like just let's just go through it one by one like if we go through this whole thing. So let's say this test case there's like 2 0 1 1 1 2 2 2 then 3 3 3 4, right? So if it hits this base case, which is not, it's not empty. So I have first pointer, right? So the first pointer and then the second pointer will be pointing at 0 also. But because they are the same element, I don't care. I continue. So when I continue, I'm incrementing the. So my pointer one still stays at the first 0, but my second pointer goes to 1. The first pointer pointing at 0, second pointer is pointing at 1. Second pointer is pointing at. Let's just type this. So 0 0 0 1 1 1 2 2 3 3 4. Okay. So this is basically P1, and then my P2 will be here. My P2 will be here. Yeah. Okay. So initially at the P1 is here, P1 is here, P2, but because they are same element, I continue. So P2 will become here, and then because I see different elements, so what I'll do, I'll increment P1. So I'll increment P1, it will be go to here, and then I replace the whole value. Like I replace this 0 with 1, right? So let me just do it on 2, and it's easier to so I'll just do it here, P1. Okay. Then I'll replace it, right? So I'll replace 0 1 1. P2 is the first location. So then I'll continue. So I just make this quick because the same element all I. So until I meet the next element. So we just P2. P2 will be here. Then P1 I'll keep incrementing. P1. So P1 will be around here. P1 will be around here. Then what I'll do is I'll just keep replacing. So then my P1 will go to here. Okay. Then P2 will just keep on fine until which is 3. So now P1 will increment. Sorry. I think so yeah, I changed it to 2, right? So the P2 will continue until it finds the next just here P2, and then I'll just increment P1, which is it will get here, then I'll replace it with, so the same thing continues, and then P2 will continue until I meet a different element, which is 4, and then I'll just this will be replaced to 4, and then P1. So in the end, although I have all these like values at the back but it really doesn't matter, because what I'll return is the length. So I know that so this is why I know the length is like at P1, 0 1 2 3 4. Basically this is what we want. So there's like 1 2 3 4 5 elements. But because arrays is 0 index, so P1 is actually pointing at the position 4. So that's why when I return I have to do +1. So basically this is the whole solution. So I'll just submit it, then I'll just copy and paste this code, do it in Java again, because basically the code is the same. I will just copy and paste this code. Let's do Java that's the most popular, and maybe I can just do this. If nums.lang, is it .lang? Yeah, then I can just return 0. Then I can do the same. I can have the 1 to 0 until 2 things at 1, and then pointer 2 it's smaller than nums.lang. pointer to plus plus. Okay, then we'll do the same thing. If num set pointer 1 is equals to num set pointer 2, I'll just ignore, so I continue. Then else, I'll just do pointer 1 plus plus and then just repeat the value pointer 2. And then lastly, I'll just return, which will be the same. So you can see like the implementation for Java and C++, they're basically the same. It's very similar. It's just like the method that you call is different. C++ is dot size, in Java you use dot length. I'm not wrong if I don't have any. This is, yeah, it's the solution. So let's move on. We say we have solution for Python and JavaScript also, right? So basically for Python and JavaScript, you can also do the same thing. It's actually very similar. Even if you do it in Python, it's the same thing. The whole algorithm is the same. You can just do like like if length of num is equal to 0, then you just return 0. Then you just keep on doing the same because the algorithm, they are the same. So I don't repeat them. You can just convert them to Python or JavaScript. But there's one particular way to solve, one more interesting way that you can do to solve this problem is with JavaScript. There's a, if you are looking at ES6, there's a way that you can remove duplicates using ES6 that is like very, very easy. Let me just, yeah, okay. So what you can do in JavaScript, but like if it can achieve the same result, where I can just do, there's a nums, right? Say I can just turn this into, I can just return array dot, no, I can just use destructuring like in JavaScript. Just use destructuring, and then this is the solution. Test it out. Okay. Never mind. Is this array? Sorry. It expects us to return number, so I can just say dot. What's the dot length function? JavaScript array length. I just have to look that up. Array length. Yeah, dot length. But it's the, it probably doesn't work like in Leetcode. They expect something, but I can just do it in this like JavaScript console to show you that if you are trying to do it in JavaScript, it's very, 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 very easy that you can achieve. Let's just use back like a sample input from here. So I just clear all first. I just say this is. So I just declare this as an array. So what I can do is, if I really want to remove duplicate, I can just do this new set array, and then you see that's how simple the solution in JavaScript actually is lah. You have done it like, but that's why there's always a higher level language solution, but it's not always the most optimal, because when you do like new set, you actually do not know what actually it's doing. You do not know the runtime. But whereas when you do have like a very low level implementation like C++, you know what you do. So this solution maybe we haven't covered what is like big O notation, but for this solution, in the worst case, it's a O of n time complexity solution. What is O of n is where in the worst case scenario, how many times do I need to complete this operation is equals to is equal to, like, in the worst case scenario, like, I have to go through every element. So like if this array has like 10 elements, and then I will say if I go through each element 1 second, then in the worst case scenario I need to use 10 seconds. So this is basically what O of n means lah, that where n, I should maybe say this, where n is the input size, so no, it's the array length. So yeah, so basically this is a solution question. Maybe it's not so straightforward as compared to the first question that gave you that question is a lot simpler. Because you can basically just think like how human think, because like doing addition is like it's very close to human brains. Of course, this problem, if you do it through the human brain, it's also very straightforward. But sometimes we can't do it that way. We have to think the machine way. So that's why we have to come up like this algorithm where we have like 2 pointers. So yeah. So basically, this solution for this whole. Is there any question? Or do you not understand? So let's just do a poll. If you understand, okay. Poll. Let's just say poll. So if you understand, just react. Let me find an emoji. Let me find a better emoji. Thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. Thumbs up and thumbs down. So if you understand, just put thumbs up. If you don't understand, just put. It's easier for me to see. Okay. Seems like it's very easy. Everyone's know. Okay. Yeah. So is there any question for this problem? If not, then I think we can proceed. Okay. So I think there's no questions. I think there's no questions for this particular problem. So okay, then I think that's all for today's Leetcode session. But before you go, maybe let me ask.
So yeah, you say first and later pass the mic to me.
Oh, maybe you want to say first. I want to ask for feedback only actually.
It's okay. I will ask for feedback later also. But anyways, I just want to let you guys know, thank you so much for joining. And also, we will not have this session next week because of Chinese New Year. But after that, we will have it on every Monday, same time, 9 to 10. Of course, we will notify everyone in Discord. We will just add everyone and ask you all to join. Right? And it would also be great if you could give us some feedback. Okay, so I already posted it. You can just you can just vote by choosing the emojis. And we are also thinking of having an introduction to data structures and algorithm workshop, see if it's needed. So for example, like just now Marcus said, big O notation. So for this, if you think that you may need this introduction course, not course lah, but introduction workshop like the Firebase one we did yesterday, 2 days ago, you can also tap on the laptop and we will try to produce one workshop so we can, speed things up a bit. And if everybody's already familiar with the easy ones, then we can proceed into the medium questions, right? So thank you so much for joining us today. I will also create a GitHub repository and put our code up there. So I will put the link here later also, so you can check back to this channel, right? And last but not least, if you have any suggestion, comments, or you have any questions that you want us to solve, you can just leave it at this channel or you can just DM me or Marcus, right? Thank you everyone for joining and have a great night.